Well, if you thought I was going to forget about calling out South Shore 12 tonight, well, you're sadly mistaken, even though we might have been a little delayed because of that thunderstorm. We are going to call them out because they're really showing who they serve once again. We all know who they serve. Those privileged people on the South Shore who are having a great time in their enclaves while we're suffering with crime and being forgotten. So let's take a look and see what South Shore 12 has been covering. But before we do that, we've got to talk about the story that they barely covered. A robbery, another incident at the crime-ridden Roosevelt Field Mall that nobody seems to really be interested in fixing. There's no real interest in trying to make that place safe because it's not really an important area. So, the third squad reports the arrest of 3 male juveniles for an incident that occurred on Monday, December 30th, 2024 at 11:20 p.m. in East Garden City. According to detectives, a 56-year-old male was walking in the vicinity of the blue parking garage near Macy's when he was approached by 3 male suspects. So it was an adult male, 56-year-old male. One of the suspects pulled out a gun and demanded the victim's money. So it's gunpoint robbery. The victim, fearing for his life, complied and handed over his money. The 3 subjects then fled the scene. The 3rd Precinct conducted a thorough investigation and located the 3 suspects, ages 17, 16, and 15, on a Nice Bus at the Ring Road Nice Bus Terminal. So this involves Nice Bus. And they were placed into police custody with that incident. An imitation firearm was recovered. I don't know what an imitation firearm is. Maybe not a real one, but I'm not sure what imitation means. But this is the second such robbery that has occurred. Remember the taxi that was robbed not that far away? So the whole area is becoming very crime-ridden. This whole area, Mineola, Westbury, Gardens, by the way the mall is, basically the whole Old Country Road corridor. All 3 juvenile defendants are charged with robbery first degree, robbery second degree, criminal possession of weapon fourth degree. They were arraigned on Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. We don't know if they were held or released. Probably released. So, of course, South Shore 12 barely covered it. We're going to talk about what they did spend time covering today, and we're going to call them out on all of that because it's absolutely ridiculous. So let's see if we can find it first of all, because let's see if they even have it on the website. Yeah, I don't even see it on the website. That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Let me Google Roosevelt Field and see if we see anything in news here on this. Yeah. Here we go. So they barely covered it. Only 31 seconds.
Here's a Macy's.
They don't send a reporter. Not important. This happened at the blue parking garage. So let's talk about where this happened. Granted, it happened late at night, but still. Let's see. This is the blue parking deck. So right here. Right next to Macy's and Neiman Marcus. We don't know what that 56-year-old guy was doing at that hour at night over there. Perhaps he worked in the store. Actually, he was an employee. We don't know. But this is what all employees have to deal with coming back. It's not safe. And where are the patrols? Again, not a priority for Bruce Blakeman and Nassau County. They're protecting those important people on the South Shore that I showed you earlier. So let's...
Roosevelt Field Mall. Now 3 young boys are under arrest. Police said the victim was walking near the blue parking garage last night around 11:30 when he was approached by the 3 suspects. They say one of them pulled a gun and demanded money. The victim handed over his money. The trio then took off. Detectives say the 3 boys, ages 17, 16, and 15, were found on a Nice Bus at the Ring Road bus terminal and arrested. Police say they also found a fake gun.
So... maybe not a real gun. I guess an imitation firearm is a fake gun. But still, you don't know that. One of these days, they're going to pull the gun on the wrong guy, and the guy's going to shoot him. And you know what? Hey, that's self-defense. So maybe if we had more people that actually had firearms legally, people would think twice because they know what would happen if they tried to pull that. But in New York, we're trained not to defend ourselves. You know what happens when we do. So here we are, Roosevelt Field, and they got caught on a Nice Bus. which kind of shows you the kind of clientele I have to share a bus with. A lot of the people on the bus, they're not the kind of people you want to be around. All right, on these buses, I'm telling you. So, of course, they barely covered that. Barely covered it because it happened in the middle of the island. They don't care because, again, this is not an important area. Do you see lily white, preppy finance professionals here? No, you don't. So, therefore, it doesn't matter. So, where did they go? Where did they cover all their stories? Well, let's talk about. Let's go back to the local here. So let's go back to the page. Where were they all? Caught on camera, kids riding bike recklessly in Merrick. And of course, that gets 2 minutes because it happened in Merrick. It's funny, I've seen this in Mineola. Remember that time there were a bunch of kids riding recklessly in Mineola? That didn't even get coverage. But no, this happened on Merrick Avenue in Merrick. Very, very, very important people live there. So, of course, it's going to get 2 minutes.
Problem all over
Just
the island.
because.
Kids in packs on bikes weaving dangerously in and out of traffic. News 12 Cecilia Dowd is in Merrick tonight, where one of the more recent incidents was captured on camera. Cecilia.
Well, that's right, Joe.
I mean, look at how they
here in the Merrick
look
area
at how they
have to be
dress. Look at
extra
how they
careful because
act.
They're contending not just
You know
with
who
the
they-
regular
you gotta-
traffic,
look.
but also with groups of kids.
You got to be with people like this if you want to have a good quality of life on Long Island. That's the sad. You got to be with people like them. If you're not with them, then you're going to be dealing with being forgotten and dealing with the problems. But the problem is that they only want to be with their own kind. So somebody like yours truly with a mental disability who's in a supportive housing program, well, they don't want that kind of housing in their community. So I got to deal with living with all the problems.
On bikes, and we're told that these quote-unquote ride-outs are being advertised on social media.
Mayhem on the streets of Merrick.
Gonna get hit by a car, or they're gonna get hurt, and they don't even watch. They go in packs.
You live right down the street, and they're menaces.
'Cause it's a
and they're riding packs, and yeah, they've been.
That's the
they've been
Stop and
menacing
Shop
the
shopping
neighborhood.
center. I know
This
what that
large
is.
group of kids was captured on camera on Merrick Avenue, coming dangerously close to cars. We're told they were playing chicken of sorts, clearly
This happens in
not
Mineola
following
all the time, but again, nobody really cares because
the rules of the road.
It's been a little scary a few times.
It's dangerous for everybody. They went by, and I told them to stop, and they laugh and keep going.
The kids, they're reckless. They're running around,
They're
having a good
important,
time.
these
But
people.
they're not paying
They're-
attention to surroundings, and a lot of kids are going to end up very injured.
Some
gotta
residents
be
say
with
they're
them.
worried the reckless riding will result in an accident.
You know, we don't want them to get hurt. You know, they're still young children. They're still young people.
Beep the horn, and they don't get out of the way. Tough thing, but they're kids, and.
So this gets a 2-minute story, yet a 56-year-old man who probably feared for his life getting robbed in a parking lot at Roosevelt Field, that doesn't get this kind of attention. You see how misplaced their priorities are at South Shore 12, but this is why we call them South Shore 12, because they don't care about us. You see, this is a TV network that does not gear to us. You got to be with the white finance professional people to matter on Long Island. If you're in a mixed community on Long Island, well, I'm sorry. You don't matter to this network.
They're not listening. The horn doesn't mean anything. Cars don't mean anything.
As News 12 has reported, this has been an ongoing problem in both Nassau and Suffolk.
We actually had to hire a security group to monitor behind the Stop and Shop because the kids were going around there with their bikes.
They're menaces, but they're kids at the same time. So give them a little slack.
I'd rather deal with kids riding on the road than kids pointing guns at people. Priorities.
Now, several residents said just that. They acknowledged that they are just kids, but some told me they'd like to see some sort of enforcement because they're just concerned that something bad is going to happen. Reporting from Merrick, Cecilia Dowd, News 12, Long Island.
So there you go. Looking really preppy, Cecilia. So let's go to the next story here. Yeah, let's go to the next story. Villages across Long Island host ball drops. That also gets
Tonight
2
to
minutes.
celebrate New Year's
I guess where they are. Yeah, they're going to be on the South Shore again.
Eve in style. News 12
Patchogue
is in Farmingdale right now.
Actually,
as
no,
the
they're in
countdown to
Farmingdale, okay.
2025 is on.
That's right, Joe, it is, and you don't
It
need
says
to go
Pat
to
Shog,
Manhattan
though,
to celebrate the new year,
down
but
there.
also on many spots across Long Island, you don't even need to stay up until midnight. They are
Well,
ready
Farmingdale's
to
sort of
bring
an
in the new
enclave,
year.
even though it's
Here
in the middle of the island.
Farmingdale, there are several ball drop events happening
It's close
all
enough
across
to the
the
South
island,
Shore.
but as far as I know, this is the
And it's
only
also
one
a town
that
that yours truly is not allowed to live in. I was discriminated against trying to move there, so.
features a ball like this. I mean, take a close look right there. Who needs Swarovski crystals when you can use a hippity-hop ball to bounce into the new year?
About 5 years ago, I
And
had
again,
one
this
of my
gets 2
sisters
minutes.
wrap it
This
with
is
2,000
news.
holiday lights, green and white for Farmingdale.
And just like that, a new holiday tradition was born.
Not everybody wants people to get out.
Family-friendly. Hey, it's the 3rd annual ball drop in Lindenhurst. Volunteers
They were
making
in
sure
Lindenhurst,
everything
too.
is
Yeah,
ready
they
to
were in
go
Lindenhurst,
ahead of
too.
tonight. Meanwhile, Patchogue is ready to
Patchogue,
party.
guess who doesn't have a ball drop? Mineola.
With their 10th annual Midnight on Main event.
We just thought that this would be a great family fun event to bring the community together.
This street will be filled with bouncy houses, games, food trucks, and more. All before the ball rises instead of drops.
It'll reach the top at 8 o'clock, perfectly timed with a beautiful display of Grucci fireworks.
Why at 8 p.m.?
8 p.m.? Well, you know, Patchogue's ahead of its time, so why not?
And many of these events had to actually move it back due to the weather expected tonight.
Yeah,
so
the
the
weather
hours had
definitely
to
has something
change,
to do
but
with
it
it.
hasn't dampened spirits here, that's for sure.
So, again, this is what they'd rather cover instead of the problems. They'd rather cover this. They'd rather cover this. Just because, right? Just because. Additional Long Island Railroad trains. It looks like they're showing the Seaford train station. Or is it Wantor? Let's see. Yep, the South Shore. There you go. There are those very important people. You see them, very important. If you're not with them on Long Island, you might as well just not live on Long Island because you're going to have a miserable life.
Will be running in and out of Manhattan. The agency also says there will be increased service on the Babylon, Montauk,
That's
Ronkonkoma,
Wantor. That looks like it's the Wantor station.
Port Jefferson and Port Washington branch. Also be trains to from UBS Arena for Billy Joel's special New Year's Eve concert tonight.
Yeah, that's definitely the Wantor train station. But again, very, very important that people live there, so they're going to get that coverage. They're going to get their coverage. You got to remember that. All right. Let's see what else we got going on here. Nassau PD arrest of somebody in a Hewlett. Now this got plenty of coverage because guess what happened? It happened in Hewlett. Guess who lives in Hewlett? Again, very important people live there. It's on the South Shore. It's part of civilization. Roosevelt Field, not really part of civilization. It's really just the sticks.
It was a deadly hit and run in Hewlett, but the man's lawyer tells News 12 his client didn't leave the scene and actually flagged down the cops. News 12's Tama Ponton has
So they're claiming he didn't leave the scene. But again, they're all over this. Again, 2 minutes.
Relief tonight in Hewlett following the arrest of 21-year-old Jonathan Cohen. He was arrested and arraigned in court
Important area,
today
so-
for leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death. He pleaded not guilty. Police say it happened about 2 weeks ago and claimed the life of 74-year-old Jeffrey Frank.
You like to think it's an accident. You like to think it's, something that doesn't happen all the time.
Police say the accident happened just after 10 p.m.
Look at
back
how
on December
look at how thriving it is. Plenty of businesses. Look at how well lit it is compared to how decrepit my area is. But sorry, John, you can't be part of that. See the BMW? No, that's for those fancy people.
On Broadway in Hewlett. Frank was crossing the road when he was hit by an SUV. After the crash, police say that witnesses told them they saw the driver get out of the vehicle, drag the victim to the side of the road, and then get back in the SUV and drive away. Frank died at the hospital
That's pretty
after
horrible.
the crash.
But
Cohen's
again,
lawyer would not speak with
there have
us
been
on
hit and runs in other parts of the island that they don't cover nearly as much.
camera or by phone, but he disputes the information from police,
course.
telling News 12, quote, he flagged the police to the scene, and he remained with the deceased until he was picked up by the ambulance. He adds that Cohen turned himself in, saying in part, this surrender was planned a week in advance with my client, the DA's office, and Nassau County Police Department, Homicide Squad, as soon as we learned that he was wanted by the police. After facing a judge today, Cohen posted bail, $15,000 cash. We knocked on the door at Cohen's home today to get his side of the story. No one answered. Friends of Jeffrey Frank, who everyone called JJ, say they are glad the suspect turned himself in.
The fact that they came forward is encouraging.
Yeah, you know, if this happened in the middle of the island, the guy would not have come forward, and South Shore 12 would barely be covering it.
Jeffrey Frank was also a longtime volunteer here with the Hewlett Fire Department. The fire chief saying today, quote, "We are happy we got justice for JJ."
So there you go. That's one more story on the South Shore from South Shore 12. I mean, seriously, all over the South Shore. Let's see what this is. Let's see if they're on the South Shore for this one, too. I know they... You know what this is about New York and New Jersey feuding over congestion pricing, because New Jersey actually cares about people and is trying to actually protect the people there, but New York does not care. They just want to force us out, and if you don't like it, well, you can shut up and go live in New Jersey. Hey, here's another story about the South Shore.
To have their dog.
Another white girl missing from the South Shore. They're all over it. And actually, I'm going to give credit to the family of Gabby Petito, who actually is talking about this. Why is South Shore 12, you know, when it's a missing a girl who's of color, they barely cover it. But if it's a missing white girl, particularly from the South Shore, they're all over it again. It's just, it's like, again, if you're not in that area and if you're not a certain kind of demographic, you just don't matter to this network. And it's symbolic of everything here on Long Island. It's all about these people. If you're not with them, then you might as well not live on Long Island.
On her home for the new year. With the search for the missing teen now in its third week, Long Islanders are stepping up to help. News 12's Krista McNally spoke with
we're on the South Shore again.
It takes a community. I have to,
Friends, family, and even complete strangers coming out to help find Emma Ray.
Not a person of color there.
I can't imagine the pain the parents are going through.
I feel for them.
The 14-year-old Patchogue girl has
What
been...
about all the missing Hispanic girls and missing black girls and missing Asian girls or whatever other races? No, it's only about white people, right?
Missing since December 9th, and dozens...
It's horrible. It's sad. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not here to make this any less of a tragedy. But I'm making a point here that this is what's going on here on Long Island. If you're not a certain race and not a certain demographic, then you just don't matter. And it feels like you don't even exist.
Volunteered to go out in search parties to look for her.
I'm here to support, like everybody else, in the effort to find this young girl.
To see everybody pull together. It's pretty amazing.
I'm not sure where they are exactly.
Father and stepmom say they are
Looks
grateful
like a nice
for the
area,
support through this extremely difficult time.
More boots on the ground, the better chance we got of getting some knowledge, the better chance we got of finding her.
With over 1,000 flyers in hand, about 50 members from this community came out to post Emma Ray's picture around the local neighborhoods in hopes that someone will find her.
These guys have some ATVs, so I think these guys are going to be going through the woods. I know somebody brought a canine, so we're going to be hanging out with them for a little bit, and then I'm just going to have everybody else spread out into different sections. Hit different stores and different blocks.
Dozens congregated in Shirley and dispersed from there.
Whatever I got to do, whatever we got to do.
I think between all of us, we'll be able to figure out if somebody has seen her here or not.
That's it. New year, new day. Let's bring her home today.
In Shirley, Krista McNally, News 12 Long Island.
And if you have any information about Emma Ray...
So they've been all over this like constantly. We've been talking about that, but let's think about other missing teens on Long Island. Just give me a moment. It didn't take me long to find some forgotten missing kids. What about these kids from Brentwood? What about them? I don't know if they were ever found or not. They were missing since November 21st. What about them? No, nobody cares about them, right? Oh, they're of color. They're from Brentwood, so of course it's not going to matter, right? They're not white from the South Shore. But this one here, seen her. Oh, sorry, she's not white either, so we're not going to look for her either. I mean, seriously, what is going on here? Oh, she's from the middle of the island. We don't care. Dix Hills. That doesn't matter. We don't care. We don't care. There are lots of missing kids on Long Island. How come it's this story that the media is all over, just like Gabby Petito. Why is it this story? Why is it this story? I'm tired of what's going on here on Long Island. But it's obviously part of the larger plan to drive us out. We all know that. And that's really what it all just boils down to. If you're in the middle of the island, if you're in this area here, forget it. You don't count. The demographics here, there are not enough white finance professionals. So it's not going to matter. It's not an politically important area. We're not going to talk about it on the media. We're not going to cover the news there. We're just going to focus on those thriving areas on the South Shore. And again, the people eventually get the idea, like, we're not going to deal with this forgotten, depressing area in Mineola, Carl Place, Westbury, Mount Roosevelt. Let's go to Rockville Center and have a good time. Let's go to Massapequa Park and have a good time. This area is depressing. It's dangerous. We don't want to come here anymore. Businesses close. They all go to the South Shore. We all know that. But again, certain demographic people, they only want to be with their own kind. So again, somebody like yours truly, this is Belmore, even Belmore, thriving town. Look at how busy it is here. It's just Sunday night. Sorry. Nope, can't live here either. Nope, can't live here. Nope, sorry. That's only for a certain demographic. We're not going to rent to programs. Sorry. So we start out 2025, much like 2024, talking about discrimination, inequality, and how it affects yours truly. All right, but we all know what happens in the end. We all know that I got to deal with this living in a neighborhood like this. This is my neighborhood. This is what I've got to live with. Somebody with depression and mental illness. Look at this crap I got to live with. I can't live in a happy place. I got to live with seeing stuff like this in my neighborhood all the time. Yeah, I can't live in a happy place. No, I got to deal with all these problems. And if I don't like it, well, yeah. You know where I wind up having to go live. I'll take a look at this. It's interesting. You never see signs like this on Long Island. Hate has no home in Ocean County. See, that's where I know I'm going to wind up having to go live. You see that, right? Why Ocean County and why Toms River? Why? Well, I love the Pine Barrens, right? Can't be away from the Pine Barrens. So if I leave Long Island, I've got to go somewhere else with Pine Barrens that is most similar to Long Island. And that is, Ocean County. So I know one day I'll be on that one-way bus ride. Who knows? This may be my last New Year's Eve here on Long Island. It very well may be, and I'll be taking that bus ride one way, a one-way ticket to Toms River, never to come back to Long Island, maybe only occasionally visit, because I've been priced out, because I can't take my life here anymore. So thank you for watching. Have a good night and Happy New Year. And, of course, I wish all of you a better New Year. I'm going to wish myself a better New Year. But honestly, I know what I'm trying to overcome, and I know it's extremely unlikely that I'll be able to overcome it because I look at the science, and I know the science says, yeah, you're going to wind up having to go live in Toms River.